Right, there you go.
This meeting is being recorded.
Good. So we started then, Celine, are we?
We have started,
Is it
Alan.
recording?
It is recording.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
This is Mad Alan and
Crazy Celine. Joining each other. Sorry.
Correct. Yeah. Shall we just take it in turns to talk, or let's just chat like we wouldn't know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That does it. So we just thought we'd make this recording for everyone because we just gel with each other, and we both seem to have similar spiritual beliefs and things, don't we? So thought, why not have a chat and see if people like it? Yeah. And I'm sure my little dog, who's just run off for the time being now, has been here before the recording. I'm sure he'll come back and say hello. Bless him.
Feeling a bit shy.
Right. What should we talk about then, dear?
Anything would you maybe tell me? I was very interested, just maybe mention for people, we're both sort of starting to, I suppose, talk a little bit about experiences I find, for me, I've had in the last number of years, and you are too, Alan, and I've been very interested listening to you, and it's been a path. Okay. It's been a very interesting path. So yeah, I'd love to hear about you. You were talking about some of the meditations you were doing recently.
Oh yeah. The ones that recently. Yeah. Well, if you can see in the background, you can see the pyramid in the background.
Yeah.
So I was in that early last week. And to be fair, I've not been doing that much meditation in it because I built it last year and I've had it outside so I had it for summertime. So I was doing the meditating out there.
Okay.
When I was doing that, it was good meditations, don't get me wrong, and I had quite a bit of connection to source, and I came up with a couple of detox meditations what I put on YouTube because I was guided by myself to do that. So that was like one of the most important things that happened to me in the summer. Then I brought it inside because obviously we're in the UK, aren't we? Yes. It's freezing. So I brought it inside, and then last week, just started a blue, I thought I'll do a meditation underneath that, and I'd not done it for quite a long time. And I was just absolutely shocked at the level of the visualization that came instantly. So literally I was sat underneath it, I started doing my deep breaths and grounding with Mother Earth. But as soon as I was thinking in my head about, right, I need to start grounding to a higher frequency Earth, not anchoring into this 3D one. Okay. And literally, as soon as I thought that, boom, straight in front of me. Now, normally I don't get like a HD type visual. I get more of feelings, and it sort of comes in bit by bit like when I'm doing hypnosis and stuff like that. But this time was really quickly, and it was really in front of me straight away. And I found myself and it's a place where I've been visualizing and manifesting where I want to live, and it's like a clearing. Forest jungle type setting with there's a river and a lake there, and it's like a log cabin, and we all live off like prana energy, so the sun gives us all the energy we need. We don't need no food. Communicating with all the animals, everything's just living in perfect harmony. So paradise, and I've been sort of manifesting that. Well, this place was very similar to that. So I was there, boom. But what I noticed straight away is all the people around me. There was like a circle of people. Now, I did 2 meditations. So the first one, they seemed to be around a fire. And I noticed that all these people around me was like my soul family. So there was people from, that went out of this realm, what come into this earth and have your experience together and all the contracts you make with each other to, you be that part, you be this part. I'm sure everyone listening knows what we're talking about. I don't have to go into too much detail, do it. So I was experiencing that. In itself was amazing. And the fact then I looked behind me and I could see different versions of me as well. So there was like this version I'm talking to you now, sat there having the meditation experience. But then behind me was all like higher frequencies of my soul, whatever, however you want to explain it. And it seemed to go back until like my higher self was there. But yet somehow I could manage to see myself through all these levels going down, but yet I was still the one. It's very hard to explain. You might know what I mean. Yeah. It's like an experience you just can't put into words. It was amazing. That was the first one. So I came back from that, and honestly, I think you've seen the video. You commented on it. I made a video with it. I was like, I was so
But you
hyped,
could
but
see
also
it,
excited.
like your eyes, like it was like there was another. I could feel it watching you.
Just couldn't wait to get it out there, yeah. So then fast forward, I don't know, was it another few days, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 days later, I'm not right sure. I did another one and I went straight back to the scene again. But this time, what the difference is we wasn't sat round a fire. Like, so imagine that in a clearing, like sort of grass clearing. There's all these trees. It's a really beautiful place to live, existing. But the fire sort of turned into a mini sun. So it was just like a sort of half hemisphere of the sun in the fire. And it started glowing really brightly. And it became pretty obvious to me instantly that that was a portal back to this 3D reality, what we're in now. And I looked round and all this soul family, there wasn't what I thought at first. It wasn't all different, like sort of different people. It was more extensions of me, but as like a different aspect of myself. And then I noticed more and more people were joining, so different souls were coming in with all their different versions of themselves, and we're all going around this ever increasing circle around this sun. And what we were doing, we were sending the loving energy, just pure love and pure understanding from all the different aspects of our existences into this reality. And what it was doing, it's lifting the vibration of this 3D. And all imagine this doing it on a scale where there's billions of souls doing this in the different, even people what's fast asleep probably don't even know they're doing it, but they probably are in their own way to a degree or whatever. And that's then what's it's like it's working together with Earth to take us out of that 3D into the one that already exists. So, I mean, that's one of the most important bits I forgot to say, that this Earth where I was already there. It exists already. And it's just the fact that we need to take our consciousness, and I don't know how this is going to work, Celine, I ain't got a clue. How we transition from this 3D to that 7D, I don't know, but it's like it's there. People like us are already there in different levels of consciousness, but we still experience this one as well. And I think it feels that our purpose is really to help everyone by doing what we're doing. And also another aspect, what happened is when I was in this 7D, my higher self came forward from behind, and higher self was a really tall blue being, which I've experienced a few times as my higher self. And the higher self took me straight through this sun, and that's how I knew it come to Earth, because I went boom, I popped up and I was there looking at myself.
Oh my God.
Meditating, looking at myself with my higher self behind me. Now, bearing in mind, like I said, normally my meditations are not visual like that. Nowhere near. Bringing the feelings and you know what I mean, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
This was more like.
And can you describe just even before, that's so interesting, just about when you started talking there about, I could feel this like wave of emotion come. It was like you were talking to that aspect of me, because it was so, because a number of years ago, I used to do a few shamanic sort of journeys with this healer I used to work with, and I always ended up around a campfire. I ended up, just as you're describing, in this open area in the forest and all the animals and everything in harmony, and there was always a campfire. I've drawn it at times. So it's just so interesting when you describe it there. It was like I was back there. It's just phenomenal. But
well, that's helping me think I'm not mad then.
No, there's two of us are mad. At least there'll be two of us around the campfire, even if there's no one else. And all our extra, and all our other cells, and of the cells.
So how long was that then? Sorry?
Oh, hello. That image comes to me a lot, but I would say I was working with a healer who lived in Ireland back in 2012. I trained in sound healing with him, doing sound healing with Tibetan bowls, and he used to run retreats and stuff. So very interesting. Just before I was diagnosed with breast cancer 2016, the Christmas of 2015, I went down to his house. He had a house on the east coast of Ireland, and we had a retreat. And just before the retreat finished, we did a lot of shamanic journeying, but he did a healing with me. And I remember lying on the bed, This was about a month before I was diagnosed. I had no idea about anything. I was just very burnt out. And lying on the bed, again, he sort of spoke to my higher self, and I went into that sort of meditative state, for want of a better word. And he was asking me, so he was talking to my higher self, basically, is what he said. And because I was just, I couldn't even relate to anything at that stage. And I just kept saying to him, all I kept being shown was this big, like you'd see an arrow on the road, or the lines in the center of the road, and they took this sudden, like a right turn. It was basically being shown your life is going to just like turn nearly 360 degrees. And I had seen that image. I always saw throughout any of the weekends I did with the Murphys, I always got this sort of campfire feeling. And I kept it, what's that going to be? But anyways, that was the start of a process for me of, I suppose I was quite familiar then with communicating with that aspect of myself. I haven't done it that consciously. But for you, just going back, when you said you were around the campfire and there were all these versions of yourselves, do you feel that they're like, as you're, I suppose, ascending, or your frequency is rising, that you're moving into, you can choose which of those you step into? Or do you feel you're in and out of them all the time? Or
for me, it felt there was such a separate to me, even though we're all the same soul, whatever word you want to call the same spirit, but there were different fractals, what's come from source, what are split off, but are all connected to each other, but experiencing different dimensions at the same time. And it seems that they're all coming together to put their energy into this 3D version to rise, to get us out of what we're in, basically, and help Earth as well. Because obviously we all, I believe that Mother Earth don't need any help from any humans anyway, but I do believe she'd like to take us along, because we've had this journey through the cosmos together, haven't we? You know what I mean? So yes, I feel like we all definitely exist at the same time. I mean, when I've done I do regression therapy with the hypnosis. Well, I've had it done to me quite a few times, obviously, because it's just part of how it is. And I've experienced different aspects of myself before. Like I've been a light being in a ship above the earth. Like I spoke about this before. And looking down, and that was sending the love energy to Earth, and there was me and thousands of other, and that was very similar to what that was really in a roundabout way. So I wondered if I was given that experience as a to get me ready for this meditation what I had, you know what I mean, to sort of say you're not going mad, it is, they are real. So
and do you think
very
wow. And do you think doing how long are you doing the hypnotherapy and regression therapy?
How long have I been doing it? Quite recently, actually, probably about it's about 9 months now. You know the guy what Mark Atwood got hypnotized by, regressed by, and KC did, Gordon Duran Smith.
Yes,
you might have seen him.
Yes, I did. Is he the guy with the unusual name? He's another name. No, there's another guy, Cherokee.
That's his name when he goes Gordon Duran Smith. He's English. He's from the northeast, and he's in Spain. Well, he taught me last year how to do the actual regression part of it. And he's a very, very good teacher. Anyone listening to this that wants to learn how to be a regression therapist, I highly recommend him. So go and find him on YouTube. Gordon Duran Smith, or Smith Duran, whichever one it is. Duran Smith. He's like, so it's quite recent, really, the regression.
So is that your first experience of regression?
Say again, sorry.
Sorry, I did sound a little bit. Was that your first experience of doing sort of regression or anything like that?
Yes.
Ever? Okay.
Yes, definitely. But it felt so natural. And before I actually started doing it, I've been on a group with Gordon for about a year, just watching his videos and interacting with him on the Telegram, etc. And when he announced he was going to do this, bang, wow, it was I've never felt a calling like it in my life. I knew I had to do it. And like money-wise, I'm like really struggling. I'm still not exactly rich now, far from it. Struggling with the money. I managed to get it together to do it. And when I was doing the hypnosis, when I started practicing it, my higher self was just screaming at me, yes, this is what you should do. And the more I do it, the more I'm realizing it's not just taking them back to the past life. It's my personality what seems to like all the knowledge I've got about everything above, around the earth, and how it works, and why we come to earth, and the soul journeys we have. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. I'm not mentioning any names because it was a client yesterday, but basically she came to me. She was very upset because she'd lost a dear friend of hers. And she moved from a different country, come over here. She felt very isolated. So I explained to her how it works, the regression, how it's your soul's journey. Your higher self will guide you to take you to whatever life it thinks that you need to go to. So anyway, we did the regression, took her to a life, and she was a boy in the 1950s, and she ended up getting killed in a mugging. But that wasn't the lesson. What it was, all the way through her life, she felt alone and lost, and like, so that's all she felt, alone and lost. Now I don't know, and she doesn't know obviously yet, what her lesson was supposed to be in that life, why she was supposed to learn some sort of lesson around this loneliness. But because she didn't learn it, she brought it into this life, and she still felt it now. And the fact that she lost this friend seemed to just like really make her feel so desperately lonely. So I found that doing the regression, and then after the regression, me explaining how reality works, and the fact that your friend, I've no doubt, it's part of your soul family. You all get together in your hundreds or your thousands in your soul family. You all agree to play little parts, your good and your bad, just to give you that experience that you want and the experience she wanted. So I tried to explain to her that maybe she wanted to experience an early death, and you want to experience the loss. And I found that explaining that really healed her. So it wasn't so much the actual experience; it was how I explained it afterwards. And I found, and while I was doing it, I could tell I was like beaming inside, thinking, "Yeah, this is what you do. This is what you need to do. Is this regress and I connected to a higher self." By the way, she had all these questions. What I was asking before the start, what do you want to ask your higher self? And all the higher self did wouldn't tell her anything. It just showed her how beautiful she was. And she was trying her best to try and get the answers from her higher self, and the higher self would just stood there. And it got to the point where, this has never happened to me either, on a hypnosis, that actually I could see, I connected with her higher self, and a higher self, I could see her. I could see a perfectly beautiful, gorgeous being, tall, long dark hair. It were all shimmering like that, as if it were blown by a really slow wind. A picture of beauty. And she was just telling me telepathically to tell her that everything's going to be fine. Don't worry. So we finished the hypnosis, and when she came back, I said to her, "Don't describe your higher self. Does she look like this?" And she was like, "Wow, yeah, that's exactly what she looked like," and just like that. So because of that, she believed me. Then I told her what her higher self told her, and she knew. When I told her, she went, "Yeah, I know that's what you were trying to say, but she wanted the answers to them specific questions." But when she realised they were quite irrelevant, because it's all part of this journey she was on. Apparently, so she came as a recommendation from another lady I did a few weeks ago, and I said, and I texted the other lady, "So I've done your friend today. She enjoyed it." And she said, "Oh, she just texted me. She's really raving about it already."
Wow.
So
Isn't that fun? That's phenomenal. And Alan, is that sort of it sounds to me like there's I suppose everybody's going through that, this upgrading now, like we're going through it feels like that myself, this rapid phase of upgrading, like as you've described now, what you're seeing and experiencing, but you didn't. Was there any aspect of it that you felt, oh my God, a little bit afraid, or what's this? Or did it just feel, oh, amazing, this is what I'm meant to be doing? Yeah, isn't that the for anyone, I just feel that so much now, that we're all finding, like when you describe that client who felt lonely, I would have felt that a lot of my life. Sometimes, as they say, you can be surrounded by people and lonely, and I would have purposely surrounded myself with people and still been lonely. And the more I spend time alone now, the less lonely I am. It's like the reverse, because I'm connecting with myself as opposed to looking outside to sort of, but interestingly, it seems that we're all, like you described, soul family. We're all finding our soul family. Like now, I feel, absolutely, like you said, it feels very natural. I don't feel necessarily afraid anymore. It's like what you said when that course came up. I'm just finding now things just appear one day and I'll go, okay, maybe I'll do that. And I say yes, and next minute, bang, 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 all these things have happened. And you're, whoa, this is,
I know.
Isn't it?
The more you trust in it, The more you know it, the more it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been a process. I don't know about you, but I feel I've been on, but I suppose all this lifetime, but there's been major shifts. Obviously, when I had a cancer, that was a big stopping point. But even before then, I had lots of different things in my life that got me sort of exploring different things. So it didn't become like, I don't know, like you said there, I feel it's quite natural now because things have been happening progressively. Difficult times often cause us to start looking for other solutions, going, my life isn't working. And then we go on a path, we're shown it really, aren't we?
Yeah.
Once
Well,
we
I mean, like the last 2 years we've gone through, I mean, if it wasn't for that, how many of us wouldn't have doing what we're doing now?
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have been, because I was working as a salesman, traveling the country, deeply unhappy, not enjoying my job at all. I loved the interaction with people in the different houses.
Yeah.
I hated the job. I hated working away from my family. I earned a lot of money, but I hated it.
Well, Alan, I just was sorry. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's just when you said it, before I got sick, I was literally traveling the country in sales, but it wasn't called.
Wow.
I know it wasn't called sales because it was for a university, so I have to be careful. But it was basically going out to schools, talking to teenagers about going to university, and I loved it, and I loved meeting teenagers. I said how anyone could ever. They're just the most young people. Oh my God! But I got very burnt out, and I got very frustrated because it wasn't what I wanted to be talking to them about. I just thought this is way too. This system is not working for me. So, like you. And a bit of me was running away, I think, with all the traveling. I was on travel, but it was a little bit of running. And eventually I stopped. So it's so interesting, like you, I could be, we would have been stopped in our tracks. I was stopped in my tracks in 2016. We're always stopped in our tracks if we don't, if we don't.
Going down the right way.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a salesman in different people's houses, I was trying to wake people up in my own little way because I was always one of these sorts of people. I've been awake for probably 25 years at least, and even as a child. But I've also, I think because I've been away for so long, I know you can't ram it down people's throats, so to speak. You have to be very subtle. And I used to be in people's houses and I used to subtly start, because I used to sell solar panels and things like renewable energy. And when I first got into it, I thought renewable energy was a worthwhile cause. And as I've realised how the agenda is behind it all, but I didn't know it when I was selling it. I was selling it with a good intention. But I also used that to try and wake people up. And it was amazing how many people used to sow some seeds into the head. And then I'd revisit them again and try and, how would your system going? Would you like an upgrade, etc., etc.? And some of them little seeds had turned into little sprouts and started talking to me about stuff. I'm thinking, at least I'm doing my own little. I was just like trying to. I tried to placate myself, saying, "Look, you're doing good while you're selling." You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was a bit the same. I'd be saying to teenagers, do what you love. Don't be sort of dictated to by the system. Follow your passion. I suppose, but isn't everything a stepping stone? Like there is often, I used to think, God, maybe I stayed too long doing that, or I stayed too long doing something else. But I think the important thing for anyone watching to know is everything you're doing is what you're meant to be doing right now, because it's getting you to the next step and the next step. We can't, what does they say? You can't do, is it spiritual bypassing, or you can't just take a quick shortcut to, where you were up at your campfire with all, that would be too shocking.
Things like that for me, it's totally different. I mean, 2 years ago, I never meditated 2 years ago. I tried it. I always used to think you had to meditate and think of nothing. Well, I could never think of nothing, and I just didn't get meditation. But then as soon as I just came naturally, it's just But I think we're all, like you said, we're all upgrading. We're at these.
That's it, isn't it?
Back to us at the right time, and because the energies are just rising,
aren't they?
Because we're sending all the energy in ourselves. It's us what's doing it.
Yeah,
I
love what you say about us sending love, in whatever way as our, we're sending love to the planet and all the versions of ourselves coming together, because isn't that it? What everybody is saying now is, the story, nobody's coming to save us. It's about each of us individually raising up in ourselves. And it's interesting, I found wherever you have been during lockdown is where you're meant to be. and I've sort of been
Yeah.
surrounded, you know, it's lovely. I'm back living with my mother, but just as I'm in a situation where, let's say, I'm quite different to a lot of the people around me. So I'm sort of going, well, why? But then I suppose the thing is for me to raise my own frequency as high as I can and spread love and spread not division. There's enough division. We're surrounded by division, and that to me, you know, so that message of, you know, once we all do that individually, this is what raises, isn't it, the light on the planet. And I could sense that. I could sense that off you from day one. It's very funny when you described yourself as sort of, you know, flying around. I could see it. I literally could see it when you described it. I said, because you have that about you. So you're obviously doing the right work now. It's just very nice. It's just, it just oozes out.
I've never been happier. Yeah, I've never been happy with what I am now. And I have to say thank you to Mark Atwood as well. I'm at it as well, because it wasn't for. I mean, we're all on his journey anyway, and I don't think we're all a big soul family. But I think Mark Atwood's a very big light beacon in our soul family. Absolutely. Because I do feel that the things he's done, like this course, I know you've done it as well, and I wouldn't be doing this talking now if it wasn't for Mark Atwood, because. Obviously, we were trying to make it an alternative way of existing in this earth while we're still using money. So best way to do it, why don't you use your gifts to try and generate some income? Hence me being a consultant, whatever you want to call it, a hypnotherapist, whatever, and earning an income by doing that and other aspects. But the biggest thing I had was getting in front of the screen. And I always remember watching on his course when he said, you just got to put yourself to one side. I can't remember the exact words. Just do it. And I remember the first video I made, and I put it on me. It was not on YouTube; it was actually on my website, and it was me. And I put a shirt on; it was unironed and everything, and this waistcoat from a wedding and all that. And I was still in that corporate type of, oh, you must present this, and I'm like, hello, my name's Alan Stockdale. I am here, and I'm thinking, and I thought, well, at least I'm on screen, but I didn't like it. You know what I mean? But then I started making YouTube videos, and before I know it, I couldn't wait to get up and get on video. I'm thinking, what's happened? Who's this person? Who are you making these videos? Because I didn't recognise myself. But now I just feel so relaxed. Yeah. Oh,
that's.
I think the ego's gone. The ego's gone.
Yeah.
Not caring what you look like. I mean, you know, who cares? You know, I'm overweight. I've got a bald head. I wear glasses. I'm a small little fat dude. But getting slimmer, thanks to weight loss. But
doesn't sound like you are anymore. Yeah. No, you're so right, because I would say the same thing. I'd say thank you, Mark, because no, and for anyone who is watching, it's not this. This isn't the reason we came on the video, but it's just a natural part of our story and how people have connected. But you know, my God, I was floundering a bit as well. Not floundering, but I was trying to find my way. I had started writing. I'd written a book and doing different things, but I didn't know where next to go and how to find people I really connected with. And we're really lucky Mark Atwood chose Ireland to live in for now. But I mean, it doesn't matter where you're living. But it's phenomenal. And you know, that whole thing about, there's lots of different things he's talked about. But like you, I wasn't comfortable about. And my first video, I think on camera, was like that. And I'd nearly a script prepared. But you know, you're going, oh my God, what if I say the wrong words? And you're going, but people buy. It is just about coming into, isn't the more that we are ourselves, the more encourages everyone.
That's the biggest lesson what I got.
It is the biggest lesson. What there was something else lovely. He says something about the market not being saturated because you're not in it. And the market, it's not even in that sense, but we're all so unique. And I think it's to remember that, isn't it? Even by sharing your story. Like my biggest thing is, and like you, like all of us, I think on this course or just on this journey, have come through difficult times and are now finding lives we love. Like you say, you love doing what you're doing. I love doing what I'm doing. And I would love to see that for everyone. So that is really what it's about, isn't it? Like you said, humanity benefits when we all shine as who we are meant to be. Everyone benefits. Like there's no competition. It's not about that. You know, we have to really, don't we, dispel that rubbish, really, because
I remember being younger. Right, okay, that's another thing. I always felt like that. I always felt unworthy when I was younger because I never used to get praise off my mum and my dad when I was a kid. Didn't realise it at the time, and as years gone by, I've realised that's where that came from. But I always was striving to prove them wrong. Even though there was the most beautiful, lovely parents ever, I never got that, oh, well done, Alan, you're doing really well. And I never realised how much I craved that, even as a grown man. And so I was always trying to start businesses, always trying to become that millionaire, to pull up in the Rolls Royce outside my mum's house and prove to her that I'd made it in life, because in them days, that's what I thought making it in life meant, having loads of money. And I did that, and it kept fail, I'd a bit of success, fail. And it just left me so empty. And I thought it was that what I needed. Attain that, because you're programmed by the media, aren't you? That's what life's all about. Money. And there's nothing further from the truth. And when you realise that, and it's not something you can be taught, it's something that comes into your soul, and it just happens when you realise.
It does, doesn't it?
It's like the lesson you need to learn, and that were a lesson I need to learn in this life. And now I'm happier than I've ever been. I can look at my bank account and count it on 3 zeros what's in it, and there's like, so no lot. I don't care, and I don't care. I'm not to live on. I do need more clients. Anybody out there, please come to me and do some suggestions.
Well, I'm sure after listening to you, I'm just like, wow, I could feel the tingles and the shivers. And isn't that the message to anyone watching? Really is, everything as difficult as it is, whatever happens, just everything is trying to get you on your path. And once you and I mean, we all have to go through what we go through, but once you start, I found the biggest thing was to trust. When I came out of cancer, and the old views, oh, maybe I need to go back into my old job. And I knew something in me said, no, this happened for a reason. You have to listen to what it's saying. But it was terrifying, because I was going against the grain of what everything was telling me. And only that I had horrendous fatigue. I wasn't able to go back. I tried. Imagine, even though I knew I shouldn't be going back here, to the outside world, and look, why wouldn't you be going back to this wonderful job? But it nearly killed me. No disrespect to the job. It was just time for me to move on. And once I started to go, okay, just trust, I started to be shown. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? The universe bends over backwards for us once but we have to take the first step, isn't it? You're not going to get, you got a lovely image of New Earth, you went up there, but you've been creating that. It wasn't like you've been doing, you know what I mean? You created that, as you said, you've been imagining it. We have to imagine, don't we? Like I find that now,
imagination is the creation.
Isn't
That's
it?
What we are.
Exactly. That's it. Like I wake up now in the morning, like you described, and I literally just sat down and I said, I need to get better at this. I wake up and all these visions, like you described there, of being around a campfire or whatever, it's so clear. And if I don't sort of tap into it there and then I really sort of connect with it consciously, it's sort of gone. And I said, that's when it sort of comes to me very early in the morning, like very visually as well. So we're learning a new way of being, I suppose, aren't we? A whole new way of being in the world.
Exactly. I mean, it's one of the things what I've been doing with my wife recently. It's something we've sort of been doing for a few years, and it's like to do with like entities when they come into your house and things like that. I mean, go back a few years. I always thought it was just negativity coming in to try and cause you harm, basically. I mean, I'll give you an example. Many years ago, about 4 or 5 years or something like that, we lived in a little flat not far from where we are now, and we had, apparently, because my wife, she's always been very open and very psychic and stuff, a natural gift. But she's actually, to be fair, she says herself, she's been repressing it most of her life. But anyway, she can sense things a lot more than what I could back then. And there was a portal at the top of the stairs where we were like on a second floor. And there was a portal at the top of the stairs, and a lot of entities were coming through this portal. And all we did, mainly Jill, was get rid of them. Just tell them to go. I learned from her how to do that. And it got to a point where one day we came in and we had an electric cooker. And we were stood in the kitchen, and we turned away, walked through the kitchen. We came back. All the bars of the cooker had turned on, and the actual tea towels was on top of the rings ready to set on fire. So at that point, I just lost it I was incredibly angry at this entity, and I just blasted my anger at it. Now I was told of a psychic friend who saw this in a vision, that this entity just ran away. It shit itself, to say, and I couldn't believe what it had done. So from that experience, I didn't look that much into entities, and time's gone by, the years have gone by, and my knowledge of how things works in the universe have expanded, and to the point now where the house we are now, the other week, we experienced an entity what came into the house. Now my wife felt it first, the dog felt it second. He was growling, barking. Then he gets really scared because he's a big waspy dog when it comes to it. Things like that. Goes to his mum for comfort because this big bad entity's there. But what my wife did, and she told me about it, and I sensed it at the time because I was in the other room. And I came in and she told me what had just gone off. So what we do, we're a bit of a tag team. I sit there. I'm like a backup. I'm like an anchor, onto this planet, onto this earth, or whatever you want to call it. And then she's like the head of it, and she's the one that talks to the entity and can see it. And this dark entity had come, and it was trying to cause trouble in the house. But because we know, and I'll tell you, I'll explain in a bit, but what we come to realize why it's happening to us in this house. She just sent it love, right? And this entity didn't know what to do with the love, and it started going down a hand. She could see it energetically black coming down a hand. It was freezing, and all she did, she just sent it love straight from her heart, and she brought it in from source through a hand, through a heart, onto where the entity was coming around, and it just actually turned to her and smiled. Then she said, "Can you see that light there? Just go towards that light and you can start again." And it went, and it thanked her. Now, when that happened, yeah, that was confirmation what I'd been telling her, why these entities are coming to where we are now. Because I then experienced it after that. That night, I went to bed, and the wall in front of me turned into like a sort of mini blue cinema. And that's all I can explain it. And I was in a half dream state, half consciousness, but I knew it was real. And there was like a blue light, probably, I don't know, about 3 foot wide, about 3 foot long, tall sort of thing. And all these entities were coming into this light, and I was just helping them, sending them on. But what it turned out, what's happening in this house, or what's happening with us wherever we go, is because of the understanding what we've got now about these entities. Now, if you think about it, I don't know what people listening to this realise, but there's no such thing as bad and good, really. In this playground we call Earth, this reality, it's all a big massive game. So what I'll just start by explaining. When you live forever and you're an entity, whatever dimension it is, your higher self, and you've been around forever, imagine that, never ever ending, it must get pretty boring. I say that with tongue in cheek, but it must get a bit tedious. So why not create the most elaborate games possible? Just to expand your experiences, your knowledge, entertain you on a highest possible level. So then go back down to Earth. Then we create. So let's think of the soul family, right? So let's think of soul family, but with an open mind, not good versus evil, like we're always told it is on this planet. Just think about it. It's a massive soul family. And I decide in my next life, I'll tell you what, I'm going to be the baddie this time. And then you, my wife, Jill, you can be my victim. Right, but do that on a galactic scale. Why not have that as an evil entity, what influences all the baddies, and then a good entity what influences all the goodies, and then we all play as parts to give us these experiences, right? But for whatever reason, this is just my knowing, this is just what I feel. I don't know if it's true or not, but it seems true to me, that in this reality we're experiencing, it's gone out of control. And the bad entities are they're not doing what they were supposed to be doing. They've got carried away in the game. They forgot the connection to the source. They forgot the connection to the soul family and the reasons they came into this reality. And they've just totally cut off. They don't know what they're doing. And all they know what to do is to be evil and to influence people and possess people and all the stuff you hear about. Well, what I've realised is, since quite recently, we've seen to become, me and my wife have seemed to become like a bit of a beacon, like for these, because of that understanding I've got, and I've told Jill she actually thinks it's true. We seem to be getting these negative entities what coming to us, And on a soul level, they're coming to us to be cured, so to speak, and to go back to source and start and realize that they're in a game and they've been playing this baddie. And we had one the other week, and he actually said it was fed up of being evil, but it's all it knew how to do. And it didn't want to be evil. It was sick and tired of being evil and being horrible. It wanted to be not like, he didn't know what it wanted, but it didn't want to be that because it lost that connection. And what we did, basically, we just brought it in, we sent it a load of love, and we just said, look, can you see a light? And they sent it, yeah, I can, yeah. Well, then to go to that light, and when you go to that light, you will be greeted by your soul family, and then your memories will come back. Why, all them years ago, why you came here. And they went and they go and they started coming more and more because to get this healing. And then that night time, that's what I was doing, but on such a fast forward when I was like in a whatever dream state, whatever it was, but doing it.
Yeah.
What we were doing.
Everything's happening, isn't it? Yeah, in that quantum, it's just like boom, 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 as you said, isn't it? Wow, that's incredible. And do you find, Alan, like, do you feel exhausted after doing that, or do you feel? Do you have to do no? So you're not calling on it. You're obviously not doing it from your personal energy. It's from you're operating from a very different place.
Yeah, and it's not a chore. It's a joy to do it. I get joy from it. The fact that you're helping these. I mean, you think about it from. I've explained this to a few people, but not on camera. Is you think about it from their point of view, these evil entities, right? And let's go back in time to when we're all still a soul family together. Like I said, in this 25th dimension, or whatever it is, right? We're all bored, aren't we? Let's go to Earth and let's play this really complicated game for billions of years. Yeah, yeah. Do you know what I mean? So we're coming in, but they've got lost. So the way I see it is we're helping them just to reconnect back to what they really are. And so it's not just like a lost soul who's like maybe a person what's going down the wrong path. It's actually an entity what's doing something. What I want to imagine it, put it this way, Celine. This is sort of, I can explain it. Right, let's think about the people that had this in the arm, right, and they've now passed on. Yeah. Don't you think from a soul point of view, they're a lot braver than what me and you are? Because we chose to come here, aware of it all, didn't go down that road. We took, as far from that point of view, an easy route. The people that had it on purpose, so the family might wake up because they've died of it, then that's the harder version, isn't it? Well, times that by 1 billion. Imagine being an evil entity, what comes here, cuts yourself off from source energy, just about, still a sliver, but you can like connect back with them. But imagine being cut off so much that you just play this evilness, and all you're doing is. And all the karma as well. Don't forget, they're going to get karma from that as well. So all that just to give us the experience of what we had and what we're having, you know what I mean? But then he looks at it at a huge level above. It's all a game. It was all an experience. I've said this for years, but not on the level I've just said now. But I've often said to one of my old mates called Paul Master, a guy who used to do some radio shows with years ago, that imagine just being back at a bar, in a cosmic bar one day, and God's on one end and Satan's on the other, and you're in the middle, all saying, "Hey, well, that was a good journey, wasn't it, lad? Yeah, whoa, that went a long time." You know what I mean? I've always. So this analogy I've just said is a bit like that, in a more convoluted way.
No, that's amazing. Like,
what do you feel about that? How does that,
totally. That totally resonates. Now, the other side of that is, and I'm sure anyone watching, you can get so caught up sometimes in your day-to-day life. Like I find, that whole, stepping out, like I feel less attached to the personal me, which is great, which is sort of what we're talking about here. But when you're in it and you can't detach from it and you can't separate, and someone says that to you, it's probably like, oh yeah, right, I chose this. At times you couldn't have said that to me because I pretty so like all of us, but that's what I chose. Different emotionally painful experiences in my life, and I probably just suffered in them longer than I needed to. Oh, but totally, I have a very strong sense of knowing like what I came here to do. And I did, you reminded me when you started, I totally forgot this. I did regression therapy back about 15, 18 years ago. I was going to a woman for Reiki treatment. And my marriage had broken up, and there was a lot of things. I was not in a good place. And she just said one day, would you like to do a regression therapy? And I said, never done it before, but I tried a lot of things. And I did go back to, and it was like the woman you described. I went back to a past life. I was in Austria, in Vienna, and I had just visited Vienna with a group on holidays, and it felt very familiar. And I was like a shepherd, nearly a shepherdess. And the whole story, anyways, it was a pretty miserable life. And I ended up very lonely. I died on my own. I was at my death there. It was just, and there was something about carrying that loneliness she talked about as well. And I know I carried it through lifetimes because I can feel it now sometimes still, even though I'm much in a very different place. I can feel that loneliness sometimes can just be, not to the same extent. I think I've cleared a huge amount. So I absolutely, you know, on most of the time now, I can be in a place, and I think where I can see the role I chose to play here. But there are days when you can find yourself lost in it, and you go, oh, it's like the movie, as you said, you're watching the movie screen of your life, but sometimes you forget and you hop into it and you're so in it, you forget that you're playing a part. But it's very freeing in another way. I totally, oh yeah, I mean, if more of us could, but that's a process, isn't it? We have to go through, you know, where,
absolutely.
You know, and maybe some, I don't know, do you believe some of us do, some of us don't? Some people choose to, I mean, obviously some people choose to wake up to sort of this game that we're in this life, and some don't. And I mean, there was a very interesting, it was actually last night, I was watching the show that Mark Atwood did with Farah Weir, who's a quantum healer, I think.
No, I saw that,
yeah, and that was very interesting. Well, it's like, it's, you know, we can't, and I would have struggled this going around sort of, you know, waking people up, but you know, it's like, as someone described as well, it's like, say, if you have a shell or a little the pupa with the butterfly or the chrysalis inside, and you try to wrench it open before it's time, you know, that's not good. You know, you're going to really traumatize someone. And that's probably what's happening in the world, isn't it? All we can do, as you said there, I suppose we'll better come to an end sooner. We'll have people along. We'll come back and do another chat. Is
how long have we been doing this for now?
We're nearly an hour, so I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
so I mean, we could go on. We'll do it again because it's very interesting. I think if people like
to be continued.
To be continued, because that's so. Because I wanted to ask you more about the pyramid as well, and I suppose it's just, isn't it? It's a really interesting just to be able to share with each other. I think what we've all found, I'd say everybody's found in the last few years, it's been quite lonely and isolating. So we've all gone online, which has been a fabulous way to interact. But you know, it's really, I think the biggest thing I can say in my life that has been the most life-changing is finding people I can just be 100% myself with. And I know that's something I just have to, it isn't about other people, but it's very, we all need that sort of as you described around your campfire as well, like we all need that
around it,
yeah, we do need,
it's time for us to all come together.
We're all finding each other though, aren't we? You know, very so to anyone who's out there, if they're struggling at all, just you know, there's so many people who've come into my life that are definitely you know, there is a way through this, and once you start even to take the first step, isn't it, and just reach out, I'm just blown away even by the group that we have, the big Telegram group and everything. It's just phenomenal, isn't it?
It is.
This is New Earth. Really is. So what you saw, Alan, this is it is that, isn't it?
Well,
like,
we are bringing it.
Yeah, because it isn't going anywhere. Is that your sense? I don't feel I'm going anywhere, because there are days like you, even like outside of meditation or dreaming, there are days I'm walking along, I go for a nice walk by the river, and I literally am in New Earth. The joy, everything. I look at the animals, I'm talking to the animals, I'm talking to the trees, I'm just lit up, like going, how can nobody else see this? And then you can be right beside someone else. So isn't that the thing? Like, it's like
mask on in their own little world, and they don't really see you, do they?
But it's like you could, it's like two people in, I remember thinking about this way of describing it, like, you know, you don't need to be in a different location. You'd have two people sitting in traffic, and one person is happily singing away to themselves, and the other person is banging on the horn and roaring and shouting. You know, that's New Earth and the 3D, 5D, whatever you want to talk about and say, isn't it?
It is. You're right.
Yeah, so it's always coming, we're always coming back inside to
right, so shall we call it quits?
We'll call it, and yeah, lovely to connect today, and we'll do it. And bye everyone. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.